Hello, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of My Backstage Pass. It's Billy Hubbard, and today, my coach Lee Zimmerman, he's actually out of the studio, but we're excited to share Lee's recent Zoom interview. Chris Robinson, lead singer and founding member of the Black Crowes. So, hang in here with us and enjoy. It's a good one.
I've interviewed you before, but I have to admit, as Meg knows, this is my first ever interview on Zoom. First ever.
Wow, you haven't been very busy during this pandemic then with interviewing people.
I've been very busy. We've been doing social Zooms.
Oh.
My wife sets them up. I don't even know how to do this. She set this up for me. At this point, I don't know how to change the channel on my TV set. It's just all too much.
Dude, we live in a place called Saw Pit, Colorado. We're like 16 miles from Telluride. And we live on the side of a cliff, and we fucking watch DVDs. You know what I mean? We're going back in time. Like we can't stream anything. It's funny.
You don't get the connections.
No.
Colorado. I'm jealous, though. I love Telluride. I assume you've been to the Telluride Bluegrass Festival or Film Festival or any of those.
I mean, will you just do me a favor? But like, just hang till that guy brings us a couple beers, so I don't have to get up during the interview.
I want one. Did he bring one for me?
Yeah, that's why it's ceremonial. I've been to. CRB. We played here every winter a couple of nights, but CRB played the Blues and Brews. We played a thing called The Ride. Where's the phone? We played, and then the Black Crowes played there too.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hold on.
I thought maybe that would be like a major sort of rock star call from Keith Richards or something, and I'd be witness to the interaction, but no, unfortunately.
Yeah, just 9,000 feet.
Wow. It must be beautiful out there. I live in East Tennessee, and it's pretty beautiful, but our mountains, your mountains make our mountains look like, anthills.
Yeah. It's definitely. I'm in Mountain Village at one of the hotels today because we don't have internet. But it's beautiful. It's powerful. The mountains are powerful. You know? And this place is gorgeous and wild. And I feel we're pretty lucky to be up here, my wife and I. And
how long you been there? How long you lived there?
We left Marin in October, so only about 4 or 5 months in.
Wow. God. Yeah. Perfect place to be during the pandemic when you have to be socially distant anyway. So, sort of.
Yeah, definitely. She's a skier, so she skis every day. Nice.
I'm a little jealous and bitter at this point. I don't know if I can continue. But I'll try. So you're re-releasing the first album. When you look back at that album now, is there a certain amount of nostalgia? Does it bring you back to what it was like when you walked into that studio kind of as novices? What feelings does it evoke in you returning?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm not a person affected by nostalgia. Like, I don't listen to, listening to that. I was just listening to music when but listening to that first or second Wire record from 1978 or whatever. Like, it does. To me, anytime or like this morning, I'm listening to Tampa Red and Big Maceo while I was, in the bath. So, okay. When music to me is alive when it's happening, when it's connecting with you, So when I look back at it and I see, I don't know, my dyslexia probably gives me an outsider's perspective on everything, right? Mm-hmm. And what I see is, killer. Cool. You can just put it over there. I'll grab it.
Do you want me to pour it?
No, I'll deal with it.
Can I?
Yeah. Hold on a sec. Thank you. No problem.
I love these insights, this inside glance at the rock star existence. It's taking away the mystique and just showing us what it's really like here. It's great.
I don't know. Thanks, man. You too. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you. Yeah, shit like that. Like, what's a rock star? What was it? What was that? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't exist anymore. I mean, maybe on the outside, but I haven't felt like a rock star in many, many years. I feel like a working musician. I feel like a songwriter. Mm-hmm. I feel like a person of poetic construct, Mm-hmm. But it's funny because the whole idea of Rich and I's getting back together only could have worked in the terms of us tackling Shake Your Moneymaker. Because, and Rich would tell you as well, like, the second Shake Your Moneymaker became what it was, we mm-hmm. ran away from it in a million miles, to the dismay of all the grown adult corporate money fuckers around us at all times. When I hear Shake Your Moneymaker and when I go back to those kids going in that studio, right. It takes me back, not in a nostalgic way, but in a philosophical way and in a cultural way, to how important, like, the American heart, we were Black Flag and Dead Kennedys and Circle Jerks and Millions of Dead Cops. And that takes us into the Gun Club and X and the Flesh Eaters. And that LA shit takes me to the Paisley Underground, the Dream Syndicate, and the Rain Parade. And then we have REM and all the jangly kind of 60s inspired stuff, art school stuff, Let's Active, the DBs, REM, Then we have all the English stuff we love, The Cure, Echo and the Bunnymen, Susie and the Banshees, it's funny because the pandemic has put a lot of focus on how much I love music. You know what I mean? Like, I've never not loved music, but it's like, wow, how much the music means when I'm making dinner for me and Camille, or, when we have our bubble people who are all safe and sound. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and the emphasis of that, and how I'll bring that back around to being those kids that went in the studio. There's so much passion and love and inspiration in that, right. I come from probably one of the last eras of loser culture, you know what I mean? Of what we wanted to give the world. This is like, as kids and musicians in Atlanta, mm-hmm. was bohemian culture, was beatnik culture, you know what I mean? We wanted madness and drunkenness and anything that wasn't the sort of suburban reality or the frat boy, Southern frat guy thing, or business shit, you know what I mean? Or fucking, yeah. We felt that there was still a wild streak in the wind. And rock and roll, because of our precarious moment in time in the late to mid century, was for a lot of us not just something that was exciting, but something that we believed in. You know what I mean?
Right.
I could have chosen a lot of different paths in my life that would have been in a typical counterculture bohemian mold, but I really liked rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Was there a fallback though? Was there a fallback position?
I never had one.
No. Okay.
It's funny because I have good friends who, I think part of never looking back is important. I mean, I remember I had an interview at Bennington University in Vermont that had like the most prestigious creative writing program in America at the time, in the early 80s, mid 80s. And I was a horrible student, but I'd had a therapist who knew someone who said, you got to look past this kid's grades. I thought I was going to be like a writer, like a real writer.
It's a good thing you didn't, Chris. I'm a writer. No money in it, buddy. Even when you write books.
No, trust me. I had no
money.
I thought I would just teach, English lit or French literature at a, at a cool college and try to write a novel. but I mean, my parents hated the idea of music, just because they saw it, my dad had gone through it, and there's a lot of unsavory aspects to the music business.
Right.
And they just didn't think probably that I could make it, But it was a 16-hour drive from Atlanta to Vermont for my interview. And before we left our fucking subdivision, in my mind, I cut out anything else except being in a rock and roll band.
Wow.
I didn't tell them. I didn't say turn the car around. You know what I mean? We did it, and it wasn't good, But at the time, that was like.
But your poor parents, now it's not just you, it's your brother too. They have 2 kids determined to do this, and they hate the idea, and they have to deal with it in double digits here.
Look, my poor parents, that was part of Rich and I's weird thing. Like, I was the black sheep and the one making bad decisions. But even though Rich was there with me, whatever Rich was doing was kind of okay. You know what I mean?
Mom always liked him best. Was that the case? Mom always liked him?
It's funny, now that we're older, we both know we're equally crazy. We're equally, whether it's my dyslexic world, whether it's Rich's weird OCD world, you know what I mean? Like, whatever we are, we're different, and we don't exist in the normal world. You know what I mean? Like, now growing up, I don't think mom and dad, it was easier. My emotions are more on the surface. I'm a Sagittarian, like I said, I feel within me the poet rages, and so I was just more trouble than Rich. You know what I mean? Rich didn't drink, and Rich didn't experiment with drugs. You know what I mean? I was more,
right.
But you know what I mean? As time moves on, Rich was equally as crazy. It was just mine was more outward, and his was more inward.
I was going to ask this question later, but I'll ask it now. What is this thing about brothers in a band? Ray and Dave Davies, the Oasis guys, that creates such a tenuous relationship. When peering at it from the outside, one would think, it's your brother, you're all in line and you got the security there.
Well, I mean, again, that's like saying that families are strong and families are I mean, you know what I mean? They're not. A lot of times they're the most fucked up thing in the world.
Right.
I think in Rich and I's case, we rock and roll. That's a good storyline, isn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's nice company between Phil and Don Everly and the Kinks, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because my wife, over the last year, if we, revisited some Black Crowes history, she was like, fuck, they were really playing up. You and Rich hated each other, man, since day one. Well, y'all didn't have a chance. And then that dynamic is something easy to control us. You know what I mean? Like to, your kids and we're punk. We have a punk element to the way we dealt with the business and to other fucking people and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We thought, that was how it was. We were here to fucking, we'll write great songs and put on a great show, but don't fuck with us, But we were constantly being fucked with because it's all about greed and status and money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No one ever, and that's the classic story. I have no issue with it. I have no regrets or anything like that.
It's part of the mythology in a way, I mean,
exactly. And something that doesn't exist anymore, rock and roll and that trajectory that we experienced, those fucking things, that's over. You know what I mean? No kids are going to get in a band and have their parents hate them and think, you know what I mean? Now it's like you go and you get your teeth whitened and you go on a TV show and you sing good and we're supposed to think you're an artist or something.
Well, that's true. But when this album came out, there was a certain trajectory there that you were shifting to. You were kind of, I don't know if you were revisiting rock and roll, reviving it, renovating it, whatever you were doing though, but you brought it, well, you did, you brought it back to you know, I always think of the Stones and the Faces and Led Zeppelin and that sort of.
Well, the Cramps and the Stooges and fucking Chuck Berry and Louis Jordan and Bo Diddley. You know what I mean? Like, we definitely were purists in whatever we were into. We liked the purest form. You know,
it was a major statement at the time. It really was.
Well, it was funny. I was doing a really tedious guitar magazine interview earlier, but
I hope this isn't a tedious American songwriter.
But I'm far more close to an American songwriter than I am a whatever.
Okay. Right.
You know,
I won't ask you about what chords and riffs and you know
gear and stuff. But the thing was, you know, we made a real conscious effort. You know, Rich only had one amp and two guitars. George got an amp sent from LA. We didn't have shit, you know, we didn't have cool shit yet. You know what I mean? But you know, there's another way of, you know, I like sometimes making something because with the pieces that you have instead of having everything, which is a little bit why digital shit's a little bit of a bummer. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like if you listen to early electronic music, whether it's new age sort of music or even like Gary Newman as like the real, you know, kind of biggest commercial part of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that easy to make, you know, you're still making records, you know, Kraftwerk is making records. You're not just pressing buttons and quickly whipping through the digital shit, you know, which is cool too. I, you know, like you can have more time to do other stuff in the studio, but we didn't think anyone really would listen, but we knew, you know, we didn't sound like Guns N' Roses. We didn't sound like Metallica. We didn't sound like The Cult. We didn't sound like The Replacements, you know, like the things that we, you know, Rich wasn't the greatest guitar player, but like just the way the guitars sound on Shake Your Money Maker was different. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't anything like that at the time, you know? And I think, but we did that completely just because we were like, cool, we might not ever get to make another record. You know what I mean? There was never a spark. There was never a glimpse of doing this for 30 years.
But then you had such incredible success with the album. You walked in, you were unknown guys,
we were great looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, no, but I'm saying that album got such widespread acclaim, sold so well, and all of a sudden you were kind of on top of the stack with one album. I mean, what was that like?
Well, those first couple of years were really wild. I mean, you know what I mean? Just like disorientating. Not the part of the things about money and things. That wasn't a thing yet. I mean, it never was a thing for me. That's why everyone would be so mad at me all the time. But like when you go, you know, we left Atlanta in January 1990. I had one suitcase with 2 shirts in it and a pair of cowboy boots. You know what I mean? Like, we had done weekends and thought we played some shows. I mean, that Shake Your Money Maker tour was 20 months at 350 shows. You know, like that shit doesn't happen anymore. So just to start to figure out how your body is going to deal with, I mean, thank God you're 23, 20, Rich was 20, I'm 20, you know, you're young enough to fucking, you know, go berserk. But there's a lot of people in the world that were great musicians. They just, it's insane life to go do that. But kind of like I imagine being a pirate or something. Like, okay, I like this. You know what I mean? Like, so what, you have to eat a boiled rat occasionally or whatever, you know?
Did it necessarily set a high bar for your for Southern Harmony? I mean, did you suddenly feel like, well, you know, we've established ourselves at this level. Now we have to at least match that. We have
I don't think we-
expectations.
I mean, I think people around us were more the grown adult corporate shark fucking status people. Were definitely more interested in like, nothing is going to be as good as Shake Your Moneymaker if it doesn't sell 9 million copies or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, but that's just the way that's the dynamic.
Sure.
But for us, I think we felt kind of like wizards. You know what I mean? Like we left with one pair of shoes and a shirt and a bag, and we came back with all these powers. Not just the power of the, we could wield a certain amount of power now with the record company and this because it was so popular. That's one level. The other level was that when you play every night, 350 nights, and you go from little clubs to big places, opening for, I'm 23 years old, and within, 2 tours, I'm opening for Robert Plant and Steven Tyler, 2 of the greatest.
That's
they don't make, by the way, I'm like the last front man. You know what I mean? Like, like they don't make that kind of that job is gone. I'm like the chimney sweep of rock and roll. You know what I mean?
The chimney sweep of rock and roll.
Our powers, our magic powers were our music. Because while this is going on, we're playing. Rich is getting so much better. We're also, it hurts, the pain and, disappointment has and joy. All of it is more magnified. All of it is more enhanced.
Right.
And then, then drugs are, I'm not talking about the end of the 90s when everyone's strung out. I'm talking about, which was cool too, by the way,
Yeah.
I'm talking about like, fuck, I never took acid before, really. Now I'm taking acid in my band. I'm into psychedelics. I'm, THC is a, huge part of my daily routine. And, the joke, a mind blown is a mind shown, and we blew our minds, we blew our minds on so many levels that we came back, we didn't go to the crossroads, but we went to the crossroads, and you come back and you have all these new tools and you have this whole new, while the other band in Atlanta, we're in fucking Tokyo trying to figure out what to order at a shabu shabu place. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool, but it was mind blowing. And then we come home with all these new tools, and that's where we make Southern Harmony, which is, has really very little to do with Shake Your Moneymaker.
Right.
We don't look the same. We don't sound the same.
Right.
We're really involved in where we went from the Stones and Faces. Now there's Traffic, and now there's Eric Burdon and War and Funkadelic and reggae music. All sorts of different funkier things. Our groove changed, and we didn't have. We were calling our own shots in our own punk rock worlds. With long hair and velvet bell bottoms, we still thought we were punk,
But, the fact that you were able to gain that control, that you didn't have to make a carbon copy of that first album to please the suits. You went in these different directions. That's quite an accomplishment for a relatively new band. I mean, you had one album. And so to take control like that, it's pretty impressive. I mean,
again, we felt that letting other people dictate to us, again, this is me. You know what I'm saying? Like the other guys in the band, Rich is like me, and Rich is stubborn as fuck that way. Okay. But the other guys, they're just going to do what me and Rich, at the time, you think somebody else in the Black Crow said, we should fucking dress like this instead of like these other motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to look cool. First time we had bell bottoms on and shit, people were laughing at us. Like at a concert. I was like, y'all will be laughing now. Everybody looked like that 2 years later. You know what I mean?
Right. I know. That's what I say. I have stuff in my closet.
Laugh at us.
It all comes back around, Chris. I got stuff in my closet. It's all fashionable now. It really
you know what
is.
I mean? I'm like, at the time in 1991, 91, I'm like, laugh at us if you want. Y'all look stupid. You know what I mean?
So in the midst.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to give you a 5-minute warning.
Oh, damn. Okay. In the midst of all that chaos and figuring out your way and establishing what you wanted to do, looking back now, 30 years later, what are the lessons learned? What do you keep with you now that's vital to what you do now, how you think now?
Well, one thing is, I mean, there's a thread through the whole thing that's the same. And that is, you know, I didn't win any popularity contests to be a musician. So for the people that want to say, fuck him, and I don't like his opinion, and he's a loudmouth and whatever, I don't give a shit. I don't feel the same way I did 20 years ago, but I've always been an outsider. I will always be an outsider. I'm an outsider everywhere I go. And my best friends in the world, who are the freakiest, weirdest, most psychedelic angel people, they're usually all the same. You know, I'm lucky because I sing good and I write some good songs. And you know what I'm saying? That our band would receive the kind of success that we have. But the funny thing about Rich, as different as we are, Rich is an outsider as well. You know, that's the culture that spawned us. You know what I mean? It was, and I think that's the real nature of rock and roll. You know what I mean? That's when Jerry Lee Lewis is like standing on top of the piano, flipping his hair back, and people are like, fuck that. That's Steven Tyler saying, wearing all the things that nobody wears. And, you know, like that, this kind of, you know, Johnny Lydon spitting at people or whatever. You know what I mean?
The attitude, man. The attitude as much as the aptitude in my book, you know?
Well, I think they have to coexist in almost like a, you know, a DNA strand. You know, I'd rather not ever do it. I'd rather stop being a musician or doing this if I ever had to really think or believe that I sold out or that I let somebody else influence me for a buck. You know what I mean?
In our last minute or so here, what's the plan going forward? Will you resume the reunion tour? What's up with CRB after the pandemic?
I mean, Neil's suicide put the period on the end.
Yeah,
of the
God, I know that's horrible.
It's still very hard for all of us.
Yeah.
Still, you know, again, the Black Crowes really helped lighten, and you know, I lost one brother and I got my real brother back, you know. But it's about the Black Crowes, you know what I mean? We want to get on the road. We put a great band together. This is, you know, Rich and I are really enjoying our dynamic, our relationship. We're there for each other. We talk on the phone.
That seemed unthinkable last time I interviewed you and I interviewed Rich. What you're saying now kind of seemed unthinkable at that time.
Yeah. I mean, we all go before, you know, COVID. I mean, I found the love of my life. I, you know, go through a horrible divorce. You know, you deal with all these like things that have nothing to real things. So Camille, my wife, has really helped me be happy. You know what I mean? And so I can be, you know, and give me the perspective of, you know, I'm not going to beat myself up. But that, like, wow, you know, I'd rather be there for Rich now as a brother is better than never being there.
Yeah. Perfect.
So we're in a good place. We've been writing a fucking ton of Black Crowes songs. So eventually we'll get.
Album.
Well, yeah. I mean, so we've been working with George Drakoulias as a producer. And we're just at the stages of writing, but it's been really good. And some of the music is fucking fantastic. But our main focus is to get back on the road and to go play this and finish what we started. And then we'll see what happens, you know.
Gotcha. Well, buddy, it's been a pleasure talking to you again. My first ever Zoom interview. Monumental.
You did great.
It's great because they're recording it and I don't have to transcribe this. That's what's great for me. That takes forever. So Well, enjoy things in Colorado. I'm still bitter. I'm still jealous. I love East Tennessee, but I like Colorado a lot.
The scale's a little bigger here.
Yeah, it is. But come visit us on the tour. There's a lot to love here too.
Definitely.
Okay,
All
buddy.
right, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you both. We'll see you.
Big thanks to Chris Robinson and my co-host Lee Zimmerman for that exclusive interview. By the way, check out Lee's book, titled Americana Music, Voices, Visionaries, Pioneers of an Honest Sound, available on Amazon. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to my Backstage Pass on your favorite outlet. See y'all next time. It's Billy Hubbard. Happy trails.